I really do feel like I'm this big lover girl. I was in love once. I was very, very, very needy. I lost myself in that relationship because girls are givers, but I need to not do that.
There is a big difference between self-awareness and self-connection, and that is what Kenzie is going to teach us today. I'm going to walk you through how to take self-awareness into self-connection so that you can learn to grow within yourself and your relationships in such a stronger and more confident way. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor. I am so excited to be back reacting to Love Island. And just to note, for this video, I will be using clips from the first 3 episodes. Okay, let's just dive right in. Kenzie may be showing us a glimpse of self-awareness in the clip that I showed you, enough to name her patterns such as being needy in past relationships, but naming a pattern is not the same as healing it. And that's what we have seen so far with Kenzie. Because what we seem to see is that she can say, I used to be needy, but when a man she has known for only 24 hours chooses someone else, she still becomes deeply triggered. She expresses a lot of hurt, refuses to talk to him when he tries twice, and immediately connects this moment to a larger pattern. I always pick cheaters and guys who suck.
I just always pick cheaters or guys that just suck.
Let me say this clearly. I am not saying that Kenzie should not feel hurt or rejected. Her feelings make complete sense. Rejection hurts. And in this environment, it is even more intense because it is happening publicly in front of people that she just met and on camera. So I want to be very careful here. The issue is not that she has hurt feelings. Of course she feels hurt. What I want to look at is what happens after the hurt, how she makes sense of it, how she responds to it, and whether she can stay connected to herself while she is feeling rejected. Self-connection is the ability to pause and ask, what am I feeling? What do I need? What story am I telling myself? And is this reaction about the moment? And is this moment touching something older in me?
I feel like I just always pick cheaters or guys that just suck. I'm always the only loyal one.
Kenzie seems to be experiencing this rejection almost through the lens of betrayal, even though this is also part of how Love Island works. People are there to explore, and they had only been together for 24 hours, and Zach had already given her some information that the attraction may not be as mutual as she would have wanted it to be. So this reaction may not only be about Zach. It seems like his choice touched something much deeper in her, an older wound around being rejected, replaced, and not chosen, or feeling betrayed like she felt when she was cheated on. I wasn't watching this and thinking she has no self-awareness. I actually think that she does have some sense of self-awareness. She can name that she has been needy, that she can be emotional, and that she has a pattern of choosing men who hurt her. But what I'm wondering is, what happens to that self-awareness when she feels rejected? Because that is where so many of us struggle. We can know our pattern when we are calm, but when that past wound gets touched, it can become much harder to stay connected to ourselves.
Like, I'm so delusional. Yeah.
Girl, I'm delusional too. I'm not even joking.
I need to see the signs and then be like, okay, no, that's not my man.
And this is a perfect example of Kenzie having the beginning of self-awareness. She can step back and say, maybe I was being delusional. Maybe I need to see the signs and say, okay, that's not my man. But the deeper work is not only learning to see the signs in someone else, the deeper work is learning to check in with yourself and ask yourself, why did I want him to be my man so quickly? What did I feel when he chose someone else? Did I feel rejected, replaced, embarrassed, not good enough? And if so, why and where does that come from? And was I actually connected to him, or was I connected to the feeling of being chosen or wanting to be chosen? Because sometimes the issue is not just the signs that we may have missed. Sometimes the issue is that we move so fast toward being wanted that we forgot to ask, what do I feel? Do I like this person? What do I like about him? What do I feel about myself when I am with him? So yes, seeing the signs is very important, but self-connection asks an even deeper question. What was happening inside of me that made me want to hold on to this so fast? Think of it this way. Self-awareness says, I need to see the signs. Self-connection says, why did I want this man to be my man so quickly? Was I connected to him, or was I connected to the feeling of wanting to be chosen? Also, just to note, if these are the kind of moments that make you want to pause and reflect and look a little deeper at your own patterns, check out membership, where I post videos to help you go deeper in the inner growth circle. Okay, let's keep going.
Definitely not a roster girl. I can only talk to one guy.
So this is going to be quite the change.
It's going to be a huge change.
What's your plan? How are you going to handle all this?
I don't know. I'm going to go wild, I guess. Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with going in an experience like Love Island as a one-person person. In fact, if you are looking for a long-term relationship, that is often what you ultimately want. Someone who is capable of focusing, choosing, and building something with one person. So the question is not, are you a roster person or not? The question is, can you tolerate the rejection and the uncertainty that comes with this kind of experience? And can I handle it when the person I am focused on is still exploring? And tolerating rejection does not mean that you are unaffected by it. It does not mean you don't feel hurt, disappointed, or even replaced. It means you are able to contain that hurt enough to understand it, rather than immediately react from it. Because in an environment like Love Island, people are there to explore possible connections. That does not by any means make rejection painless, but it does mean rejection is part of this process. Self-connection does not mean rejection doesn't hurt. It means the hurt does not get to define your worth, your story, or your next move. The real growth is being able to say, this hurts, but it does not mean I am unworthy. It does not mean I need to shut down, prove myself, or attach faster to the next person. It means I need to stay connected to myself and continue figuring out who is actually the right match for me. So let's look at the beginning of the 24-hour relationship between Zach and Kenzie.
Kenzie's behind your door.
Surprise.
Yeah, she is.
I like his accent a lot, and I like his dark features, and I think we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Zach, how does it feel knowing Kenzie chose you?
It's a nice feeling. I was shitting myself, I'm not gonna lie. So it's nice knowing that she was there standing behind my door.
That's cute.
Okay, so this is a nice beginning. In that moment, both of them likely felt vulnerable, but then chosen and probably relieved. And that makes sense. I can't imagine how vulnerable it must feel to stand there waiting to see if someone is going to choose you, especially in front of everyone else. That is part of what makes this environment so emotionally intense. Being chosen does not just feel good, it can feel regulating. It can calm anxiety. It can give someone a temporary sense of safety, like, whew, okay, I'm wanted. I'm not rejected. I am okay. But that is also why things can move so quickly. When being chosen brings relief, it can be easy to mistake that relief for connection. Self-connection is being able to tell the difference between I like this person and I like the relief I feel because this person chose me. And they may genuinely like each other, but this early on, I would still want to ask, are they connected to each other, or are they connected to the relief of not being rejected?
I love your dark features. Yeah. And your eyes, they're really
You have really piercing blue eyes. Do you know, I've never actually been with a blonde girl before.
You're joking.
Genuinely.
You're joking.
Most girls I've been with have been like darker features, yeah.
Now, just to be clear, Kenzie is the one who first brought up that she liked Zach's dark features. So from what we have been shown, she initiated the conversation around physical type and appearance. At first, Zach's comment about never dating a blonde could have been heard in different ways. But later, when he tells her that she is not his usual type, that gives her clearer information. The insight here is that when someone is already sensitive to not being chosen, as I suspect with Kenzie, even honest information can still feel painful to hear, as it can be painful for all of us to hear. Zach saying that she is not his usual type may have been his attempt to be honest, but if Kenzie already has a fear of being unwanted or replaced, she may hear that through the wound of, here it is again, I am the one who is not being chosen.
I feel like I really like Zach, but I'm gonna keep my boundaries up a little bit because, like, I was low-key not knowing if he was feeling me because I cannot read these men.
So I'm not completely sure what Kenzie means here when she says that she's going to keep her boundaries up, because people use the word boundaries in many different ways, and I don't know what boundaries mean to her. But then she goes on to say that she can't read him. And at this point, that actually makes sense. She just met him. Of course she can't fully read him yet. Early dating involves a lot of uncertainty because you don't have enough information to know who someone really is, how consistent they are, or what their intentions will be over time. And that is why this is so important to not draw conclusions too quickly when we first meet someone. When we feel anxious, we can start trying to move out of feeling uncertainty by deciding who someone is right away. We may say, he is definitely into me, or he is definitely not into me, or I can't trust him, or he or she seems to be like a great person, before we really have enough evidence. So yes, keep your boundaries, but boundaries are not meant to protect us from ever feeling hurt. Healthy boundaries help slow us down, observe, stay connected to ourselves, and let someone reveal themselves over time.
Last night, there were a couple things that, like Zach said, like he's never dated a blonde before. His type is dark features.
Okay.
Like, I want someone to be like, yeah, you're so my type.
Like, you're so beautiful. Like, I'm
you're-
obsessed with you.
Yeah, like he has said, your eyes are beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's not been like,
You're so
you're
beautiful.
stunning. Like, I like to be like enamored,
No,
and I
that's
feel
fair.
like I should be.
Please, please, please don't live in a space where what you are looking for is someone to be enamored with you or obsessed with you. And I think with Kenzie, she may be talking about wanting someone to be enamored with her appearance. And I understand why that can feel good. Being desired can feel validating. Being seen as beautiful or attractive can feel powerful. But here is the problem. Attraction to appearance only goes so far. Desire is not the same as a strong, healthy connection, and chemistry is not the same as building a strong relationship foundation. Someone being physically attracted to you doesn't mean that they have the maturity, consistency, honesty, or emotional capacity to build a real relationship with you. And if the foundation of the relationship is mostly, does this person find me attractive? Are they obsessed with me? Do they want me? Then you may not be asking the deeper questions. Are they trustworthy? Are they emotionally available? Are they consistent? Do they have integrity? Do they know how to handle temptation? Do they know how to build something beyond the initial attraction? Because I'm not saying initial attraction is wrong, obviously. And this may connect to what Kenzie shared about picking men who cheat on her or men who hurt her. And I want to be very clear. If someone cheats, that is on the person who cheats. They are responsible for their choices. But here is something to consider. If you are drawn to people who are mainly enamored with your appearance, you may not have enough information about whether they are capable of commitment, because someone who is pulled in mostly by appearance may also be pulled toward the next attractive person who comes along. That does not mean that you caused it. It means the foundation was not strong enough to hold both of you to stay strongly connected with each other. So the goal is not to find someone who is obsessed with you. The goal is to find someone who can truly know you, value you, choose you, and build a relationship with you, not just because of how you look, but because of who you are.
And I could be wrong, like thinking that this is more than it is. Like I could be just like in my emotions. I don't know.
Kenzie is sensing something at the very beginning of her experience with Zach. And I think the important thing for her moving forward is learning to listen to that. But listening to it does not mean something is wrong with Zach. It may simply mean she is not sensing mutual attraction or the same level of interest. And this is where self-connection matters. Because when you feel that lack of mutuality, the goal is not to try harder to be chosen. The goal is to pause and ask yourself, do I feel wanted here? Do I feel like this is mutual?
Sorry, Kenzie.
I'm not surprised.
But you did like him, yeah?
Yeah. I like them. It's okay. There'll be someone better.
First, I want to say this very clearly. I cannot imagine what it would feel like to be rejected in that way, to open the door and realize no one is standing there waiting for you. That stings. But then add the fact that this is happening publicly on national television in front of people she just met and during her very first experience with a guy on Love Island. That would hurt almost anyone. So I want to be careful not to minimize her pain. Rejection is painful. That being said, the important part is not to question whether rejection hurts. Of course it hurts. The important question is, what happens after rejection? Can she feel the hurt and still stay connected to herself? Can she let this be painful without turning it into proof that she is unwanted or always choosing the wrong men? Can she contain the sting of this moment enough to keep moving through this experience?
Everything I feel like I was saying was for real, and then I feel like I was fed crap. That's what hurt.
I wish that we knew more about what Kenzie means here when she says Zach fed her crap. From what we are shown, and I do know that this is highly edited, we do not fully know what he said, what she heard, or what may have happened in the moments we did not see. We do know that Kenzie says Zach told her that she was not his type. So maybe part of that is what she is referring to, but I'm not sure what she feels she experienced as misleading. But this is something important to notice. Sometimes after we've been hurt, especially rejected, we start organizing the story around how the other person wronged us. And sometimes that may be accurate. People can mislead us. People can say things they don't mean. People can make us feel chosen and then quickly move in another direction. But sometimes when the hurt is intense, we can also start turning the pain into certainty. We move from I feel hurt to he fed me crap. We move from this disappointed me to he wronged me. The problem with that is that once we make the other person the villain, it can become really hard to stay curious about what actually happened and what we actually need. And what she says next is the most concerning thing that she has shared with us so far.
I'm always the only loyal one. I don't know, and I guess maybe it's because I'm a girl and like I grew up watching like Ella Enchanted and princess movies where guys like actually treat you good.
On top of everything, Kenzie seems to have an idealized version of love when she talks about growing up watching princess movies and seeing guys treat women well. And of course we want to be treated well. Of course we want kindness and care and effort. But I actually think this may be one of the more concerning things that she has said, because relationships are not something to idealize, and people are not meant to be idealized. When we idealize love, we can start looking for a feeling instead of a foundation. We look for the man or the woman who makes us feel adored, rescued, chosen, or swept away. But real love is not built on being adored. It is built on consistency, emotional maturity, honesty, respect, the ability to repair, that is so important, and to work through difficulties that will inevitably come. And when we idealize a person, we stop seeing them clearly. We may ignore the signs that something is not mutual. We may attach to what we hope that they are instead of who they actually are showing us that they are. Or we may become so deeply disappointed when they act like a real human being with limits, flaws, and their own needs. So the problem is not that Kenzie wants to be treated well. She should want that. The concern is that when being treated well becomes tied to a fantasy version of love, where the right person is supposed to choose you perfectly, reassure you consistently, and never disappoint you, healthy love is not a princess movie. Healthy love is two imperfect people learning how to know each other, choose each other, repair when there's conflict, and stay honest about who they really are.
I told Kenzie that she wasn't my actual like typical type last night. And she was like, oh, that kind of took me by surprise a little bit. So I don't think she like...
She didn't like that
hearing
comment.
Yeah. But I know I'm not everyone's like cup of tea.
And you're just trying to be honest.
Yeah.
I imagine when he told that to Kenzie, that was very, very hard to hear. But he wanted to be honest. What we don't know exactly is how he said it. And hopefully it was said in a softened way, in a respectful way, because that is vulnerable information to hear.
The whole time I was not feeling reciprocated. Like I didn't feel the energy that I wanted coming into here. Like I've never had a guy look at me and be like, yeah, like you're not my type.
So what's important here is that he did give her information. He let her know in some way that she was different from who he usually dates. And yet when it came time to choose, Kenzie still stood behind that door hoping he would choose her too. That is where self-connection matters. Because when someone gives you information that the attraction may not be fully mutual, or that they are uncertain, or that you may not be the kind of person that they normally go for, the next question is not, how do I get him to choose me? The deeper question is, what do I do with this information? Do I slow down? Do I stay curious? Do I protect my heart a little? Do I ask myself, do I feel wanted here? Do I feel steady here? Is this mutual enough for me to keep leaning in? And this does not mean that Zach did anything wrong by being honest. In fact, honesty is so important, but honesty only helps if we are willing to take it in. Self-connection is being able to pause and ask, am I moving toward him because I truly feel something mutual here, or because I want him to move forward with me? So when Kenzie stands behind the door and he is not there, of course that hurts. I am not minimizing that. Like I said earlier, that is a painful moment. But part of the hurt may also be connected to the fact that she had already been given some information that this might not be as mutual as she wanted it to be. And instead of using that information to pause and check in with herself, she seemed to keep moving toward being chosen by Zach. Then, when he wasn't there, the rejection hits even harder. That is why the aftermath is so important. She shows a lot of hurt, which is understandable, but then Zach tries to talk to her twice and she refuses. And again, she does not owe him a conversation if she is not ready. This is where I would wonder if the refusal is not only about needing space, it may also be about feeling rejected and trying to take back some control. Because after rejection, self-connection sounds different. It is no longer, let me slow down here before I get hurt. Now it is, I am hurt. Can I stay with myself in this hurt without shutting down, punishing him, or making this mean something about my worth?
I feel like I'm just like being like beat down of like, but I know I'm attractive and I love how I look. Like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm in love with myself. I just want to feel that with someone else.
I wish I could be fully excited when Kenzie says, I'm in love with myself, because that's the goal, right? We want people to love themselves. We want people to know their worth. We want people to feel confident, secure, and whole. But from what we have seen so far, or what we have been shown, I wonder if Kenzie's self-love is still organized mostly around her appearance. And to be clear, there is nothing wrong with loving how you look. That can be beautiful. That can be empowering too. But the deeper kind of self-love has to come from the inside. Because when self-love is mostly external, meaning around your appearance, rejection can feel like an attack on your worth. If someone does not choose you, it can feel like, how could you not want me? Look at me. But when self-love is internal, the question becomes different. It becomes, do I feel seen? Do I feel respected? Do I feel emotionally safe? Am I being loved for who I actually am? And that is the kind of self-love that I think Kenzie may need more of. Not because she does not love herself at all, but because the love may need to go deeper. She may love parts of herself. She may love her appearance. She may even love aspects of her personality. But internal self-love is what allows us to choose from a place of wholeness, not from a place of needing to be desired.
I would say I have had 3 boyfriends. All my boyfriends are so different.
Yeah.
And that is how I say, like, I really do fall in love through words and just being pursued.
And that can become a challenge when someone is seeking a healthy relationship, because it tells me that Kenzie may really want to feel chosen, and there's nothing wrong, again, with wanting to be chosen. We all want to feel wanted, valued, and special to someone, but the caution is that you don't want to lead with that need. You don't want the whole focus to become, does he choose me? Because in a healthy relationship, both people are choosing each other. You are not auditioning to be picked. You are also observing, discerning, and asking, do I choose this person? Do I feel safe with them? Do I like how I feel around them? Also, falling in love with someone's words can become very tricky, because there are people who know the right thing to say. They know how to say, you're beautiful, you're amazing, I've never felt this way before, or you're exactly what I have been looking for. And those words can feel incredibly good, especially if you are longing to feel chosen, or you're just longing for a relationship. But in the beginning, we have to be very careful with words, not cynical, but careful, because words are easy. And if you love being pursued through words, you may need to slow down and ask, do these words match this person's actions? Are they consistent? Because you know what I always say, words and actions have to align. Because if words feel too good too fast, it can become easy to believe them before you have enough evidence. And that is where self-connection matters. Self-connection helps you enjoy the kind of words without handing over your trust too quickly.
How are you
No,
feeling?
no.
Tell me.
I had a chance to sit and talk with Beatrice. She, of course, like, she's like, I put myself first. Like, that's what I'm here to do. I was like, 100% understand that. For me, on my side of things, it felt like, well, I was on the green waiting, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think that this was actually really good for Kenzie to hear, but I'm not sure that she fully was able to take it all in, because what stood out to me is that Sean was able to hold 2 truths at the same time. One truth is that they are on Love Island, and that is part of the experience, is exploring different connections. Beatrice is allowed to put herself first, he said. She is allowed to get to know people, follow what she feels is right for her, and not organize her choices around protecting Sean from feeling discomfort. But the other truth is that Sean can understand that and still feel hurt by it. And that is actually an emotionally mature response. Emotional maturity is not saying, this does not bother me. Emotional maturity is being able to say, I understand how and why you are doing this. I support your right to choose what is best for you, and I also feel hurt. And that is such an important relationship skill, being able to validate someone else's autonomy without denying your own pain. Both can be true.
I'm gonna talk to Kenzie.
Fun. Have fun.
Hey guys,
What's up, man?
can I talk to Kenzie real quick? If you want to. It's up to you.
I don't really want to.
You don't want
No.
to? All right, maybe tomorrow then.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is what's important to understand. Kenzie's reaction does not seem to be only about the hurt of Zach rejecting her. I think this goes deeper. Her refusal to talk to him may feel somewhat empowering for her in the moment. It may feel like you hurt me, so now you don't get to have access to me. And sometimes that can even become a way to punish the other person or take back a sense of control after feeling rejected. But Zach appears to be trying to talk to her. And if he was able to do that well with empathy, accountability, and care, that conversation could have given her a different experience. Not an experience where she gets to be chosen by him, but she could experience something else that is still very important. Someone can hurt me and still care about how it affected me. Someone can disappoint me and still be willing to talk. And someone can choose a different direction and still treat me with respect. When someone has a history of being hurt, rejected, or cheated on, like Kenzie has shared with us, a new rejection can feel like confirmation of the old story. Here it is again. I'm being replaced. I am not seen. I can't trust people. So when Zach approaches her, the opportunity is not a romantic repair. It is an emotional repair. It is a chance for her to experience and learn I can be hurt and still have a conversation. I can be disappointed and still stay connected to myself. I can let someone explain without giving them power over my worth. And again, she does not owe him access to her if she is not ready. Taking space can be healthy. But if the space that she takes becomes a wall, then it may keep her protected from having the conversation, but it also prevents her from receiving information that could actually help her heal, understand, and move forward. And what Kenzie says next is what I hope she holds on to throughout her whole journey on Love Island.
I mean, I feel like I can only blame myself, really, because I did see the signs and I should have just went with my gut.
I'm not exactly sure what her gut was telling her. Maybe it was telling her that something was not mutual. Maybe it was telling her to slow down. Maybe it was telling her that Zach was not fully moving toward her in the way that she wanted. But I do think that this is important. Listening to your gut should help you stay connected to yourself. So yes, notice what you sense, learn from it. She also said at one point that her gut is always 100% right. So it will be interesting to see where Kenzie lands in this journey. I am sure I will have more to say about her as the season unfolds, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, there's more Love Island coming your way. I'll see you next time.